Hello and welcome everybody to my Neo-London course. And why it's called Neo-London? Because we actually change the move order. We delay bishop f4 and replace it with the immediate c3. This move order has two big advantages. First advantage is that the c5 setup here actually will not be answered with bishop f4, but with d takes c5. And that actually also means that black has to be very careful here to get back the pawn and not to get under the wheels. As a small little teaser, after d takes c5, one of the main replies is a5. And here actually in my course I come up with a very original move, e4. It was played already, but in very old games. And I can tell you, if you are not sure what to do after e4 for black, you will also face a couple of problems. So apart from that advantage of having the option here to take a pawn, the other main advantage is that after bishop f5, and this setup usually in the London also actually is considered to be very solid for black. But here we have now the option to play queen b3, which actually obviously means we attack the pawn, and main reply is queen c8, but even the move b6 was played a couple of times. And here also after b6 I found in this moment a brilliant novelty with queen a4 check, which actually in my opinion improves the whole system with b6. Despite that, obviously we will study queen c8, and here just to understand, now after queen c8 we push c4, and that also means we deviate a little bit from the London defense. And also here black suddenly needs to know theory and not be uncertain, because if black doesn't play it well, he will face problems. So basically the move order c3 is mainly actually against those two systems, and I explain why. Because first of all, here after bishop f4, bishop f5 would be played, and now in this move order obviously we cannot jump over the c pawn. So that's one of the things. And also the other thing is here that the move order c5 in this particular line will be replied by e3, and after knight c6, knight bd2, queen b6 is one of the lines maybe actually we want to avoid, because it's kind of complicated, and that's why the move order c3 has, well, a good defense against it, or I would say it just prevents all these complicated stuff. After c3, obviously also we will study the move c6, because your opponent can be clever. c6 has the idea that after bishop f4, obviously black will answer with bishop f5, and then he will be back more or less into the normal London system with bishop f5. And that's why after c6, my suggestion in my course will be queen c2. We are fighting a little bit for the f5 square. One of the main replies is bishop g4, and here in actually this kind of position there is a very brilliant move. That is not a novelty though, but still I also found some improvements in this line. Just queen f5 is a brilliant idea, and the main idea behind this move is to bring the queen to h3 and then to make it difficult for bishop g6, because we can capture, and the h7 pawn, though the h takes g6 capture won't be possible as the rook on h8 is hanging. Okay, apart from the c6 system, also obviously we will study the e6 setup, and here my suggestion is also to a little bit change the move order, because we remember after bishop d6 main reply is always bishop g3, and then black will try to play with queen c7 and knight bd7. My idea is here to just skip the whole thing and to allow the capture on f4 and to continue with knight bd2. One of the advantages is that in the queen c7 setup, here we actually save a tempo. We can immediately capture on d6 and continue with knight e5 and f4 ideas. And I can promise you that this system is super dangerous for black, and black actually faces here a couple of problems. Besides, I also included some of the novelties. So apart from that, we all remember the classical line with knight c6. But once knight c6 is played, actually here in my course, we will go back to the main position. And here, obviously, main move is b6. And also here, I occupy myself with a kind of new way of handling this. We remember the old fashionable move was a3, but thanks to the super engines, knight g5 became very fashionable. Also here in this line, I found a couple of new ideas and novelties, and I can promise you, if Black doesn't know the theory well here, he can lose quite quickly. So apart from the e6 stuff, obviously in every London DVD, the G6 setup can't be missed. So the so-called Greenfield or Grünfeld setup in the London defense. Here actually after G6, I would dare to say that C3, this move order is not so great, because now if you play bishop F5, F4, then knight H5 is coming, and after bishop E5, F6, bishop G3. This is not a problem for white, obviously, but here, since the pawn is on C3, actually it's a little bit less convenient for white. Usually when the pawn is on E3, we can push C4 right away, which actually in that structure would make sense. And for this reason, I decided to be clever and to start with H3, because then actually the whole idea of knight H5 will not bring any kind of advantage, as we can play bishop H2. Yes, what else actually is on my course? On my course is also the kind of clever move order bishop F5, because, you know, people who already studied the Neo-London, they can think, okay, bishop F5, and after bishop F4, everything is normal. That's why here after bishop F5, I study with you the line with C4, E6, and queen B3. Obviously, this has nothing to do with a London anymore, but, and here comes the but, it's actually good to know the theory here for white, because in the most cases, you just get a decent advantage. And also here, obviously, I found a novelty, but this is going to be a little bit of a surprise for you to find out. Okay, apart from bishop F5, what else is on my course? Basically, all the variations which we have seen a couple of times. For example, apart from bishop D6, we remember the lines with knight H5, bishop G5, and F6. This is obviously part of the course, and also the fashionable thing with capturing on D4 and knight H5. Also that will be on the course. And here in that particular line, we will focus on the very sharp stuff with the later G4, H4 variation. Altogether, I present 9 different chapters in the Neo-London course. A lot of chapters you will obviously remember from the old London system, as a move order sometimes is very flexible. But despite that, you also have a kind of teaching part in this course, and in the teaching part you will be mainly forced to find the novelties which are in the course, and despite that you will get extra information on stuff, as in some cases I bring new ideas in the exercise part, because I played meanwhile a couple of games, and sometimes when the games in the Neo-London were beautiful, I decide to add it additionally. So it would make sense to study the exercise part as well. Yeah, despite that, I hope you enjoy this course. For me, the London system was one of the most successful systems in my life. I won a couple of medals, especially during rapid and blitz events with the London system. And I'm very, very happy about the new move order, to be honest, because when I used to play the London, I always hated the lines with bishop F5. I also lost a critical game in the World Cup against Anna Mutsushuk in this particular line. So I'm quite happy with the new move order C3. And also the C5 setup was always something which I didn't like much, but here I'm very happy that I can simply capture a pawn, and well, it will be Black who needs to fight for it to get it back. Altogether, I hope you will enjoy my course, you will study it carefully, and yes, you will become a successful Neo-London player.